94 Rocks, The Dark. It is that time again. It's time to get to know a band we play here on The Dark. And on the phone tonight, I am talking to Bill, the drummer of the band Sons on Fire. And this band actually is really blowing up right now on rock radio. Is on some of the rock charts. They're already in the top 10. Some others have it in the top 30 with their latest song, Just a Man. Bill, how you doing? Thanks so much for joining us here on The Dark tonight.
JZ, what's up, buddy? It's a long time coming.
Yeah, it is, absolutely. And I'm excited to talk to you because this is the best part of what I do here on the radio is get to know bands more, kind of dig in a little deeper. You know, everybody gets to hear the song, but we want to know the backstory on everything. So first of all, Bill, let us know more about the band Sons on Fire. How did this band all come about?
Dude, it's the funniest story. It's we all came from, pretty successful bands years ago, and we kind of got together. The guys, it was before me and Darren joined, they were kind of dabbling around with the band with some songs, and they sent some stuff out to me, and I listened to it, and I didn't know if, kind of what I wanted to do after our last band kind of took a hiatus, and they grabbed Darren, and I said, you get Darren in, I'll do it, and let's just see what we can do with this. And then, obviously, this was probably of November, October of 2019. We got together and played some songs. We thought it was good. Then we actually played a show just to see if we had anything worthwhile, and it was sold out. It was 500 kids. Then we said, well, we think we might have something. Let's bring it to a label. We brought it to Pavement, which is a buddy of mine that I've known for years. He's got Plush. He's got Puddle of Mud, Candlebox, a couple stuff like that. He said, listen, I love what you guys are doing. Let's put this out. COVID hits. The whole world shuts down. We don't know what we're supposed to do. And we decided, they said, when we were going to release this, and should we wait? And we said, absolutely not. Who's going to be stupid as us is to put out new music during a pandemic, but we thought we'd have a lot of eyeballs and ears looking with a lot less competition. So we put it out, and it first song, Faded, came out, and I think we went to 28, I think, on Billboard, and the secondary charts, I think, was up to 10 or 13 or something, and then the phone started to ring, and it started just to kind of pick up speed and grow, and we ran that for, I think it was a 12-week radio promotion, and then we gave it some rest, wanted to see where this pandemic was going, realized everything was still shut down, we couldn't get out and tour or do anything, so we released the second single in, I think it was May of this year, and that took off even farther than the first one. Added a lot of new stations. You guys obviously came on, and then everything started to open up. So now we're in the process. I think we're going out in October. Got a lot more radio. I'm waiting to see the chart today. I'm thinking we'll probably be maybe 5 or 6 on Foundations, and maybe 23 maybe on Billboard. We'll have to see. I just got some show information. I think we're doing some shows with Powerman 5000. I think there's some Saliva shows, some Jackal shows. And I think we're talking about doing stuff with you guys out there in the end of September.
Absolutely. That is definitely a possibility. And, you mentioned you and the guys coming together had been in other bands that have had some success in that. And I guess, the one thing you always worry about is, okay, you're getting all these other members of a band together, meshing together. Is it going to work or not? But it seems like it's been working so far.
Yeah, it's. I mean, we've all known each other for years, and it was the timing was just right. But we didn't know the pandemic was going to be here. I mean, I never thought. I mean, nobody in their right mind would have thought this would ever happen. I mean, I said, you know what? When Vegas finally closed, I'll believe this thing's really bad. And then when Vegas closed, I was like, oh God, maybe we got something here. And I don't think we'll ever see anything like that in our lifetime again. But it shut down industries. People lost jobs. It wasn't good. I mean, it's slowly starting to reopen again, and I've got a venue here in Texas that I'm part of called the Hot Spot that books a lot of bands. We just had Seven Dust come through, had Saliva come through, Blue October came through. The shows have been great, sold out, and Texas is running normally. I hear California's got a little bit of the pandemic stuff still lingering around, but it seems like everywhere else in the world it's trying to get back open.
Yeah. You mentioned Seven Dust. I had a chance to talk to LJ during the pandemic, and he was to the point where he was like, I don't even care if I play on a flatbed in the middle of a parking lot of McDonald's. I just want to play.
Yeah. Yeah, those guys absolutely ripped it up. Those guys are great. I mean, their musicianship is second to none. But people, those guys are just down to earth. There's no, they're just cool all the way around. All those guys. Morgan's a beast.
Yeah.
John Clint. I mean, they're just very cool.
You know,
they have every reason that they cannot be cool, but they're cool.
You know, the one thing that really is irritating, and you got to believe the same thing about a band like Seven Dust, and I don't want to talk about another band, I want to talk about your band, but they are such...
If you're talking about our band with their band, it's always a good thing.
Well, here's the deal. They are such a great band that they should be a lot more known higher up on the ranks and selling things out than they are.
Correct.
And
100% correct.
It's like if you're like a guy like me, that I look at so many numbers and charts, and I look back at all their singles, they barely have any singles that even hit the top 20, but they are so well known.
You know, they did it the old school way.
Yeah.
They toured, and they built it the old school way. I mean, it's funny because I thought about that the other day. I'm thinking, you don't ever see them on the chart.
Mm-mm.
But you know what? I guess proof's in the pudding, because when you go see them, every show that they play is sold out.
Right.
So who needs charts? You know, but those guys, I mean, they've had problems. They've been screwed over by the best people. And they always keep coming back better. And it's like they're like a band of brothers, and they just don't stop.
You know, another band that are actually I just saw at Rockfest that reminds me of them from Seven Dust is like Nonpoint. They're another band.
Oh, they live in Chicago now.
Yep,
We've played some shows with them. Those guys are another. And in fact, I think that the two newest guys came from a Chicago band. And I think that Elias and Rob moved to Chicago at that time. But yeah, those guys are another one. And they just went the independent route, doing everything themselves, created their own label. But you know, when you get to that stature, I mean, both these bands have been around for 20 plus years.
Correct.
You've got that fan base that can support you and do that. Most new bands, they don't have that yet, and we still got to go the old school way, even though in our minds we know we want to go the independent route. But at this point, you know, with the band we're in currently, we still have to build. We have a lot of building to do.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that. Obviously, you're obviously musicians that have been around. You've had some success. You've played on stages with some big bands, but here you are now kind of like almost like a baby band again, starting out. Yeah. So how do you make it work, especially now coming off a pandemic when you might have had some momentum and now, hopefully things are getting back to normal?
Here's the thing. We have everything to gain and nothing to lose. So anything that we do at this point is going to be a positive. We've all done the big stages, 20,000 festivals, did all that. I've played with every band I've ever wanted to play with, met everybody I wanted to meet. Now it's more just about fun, and it's not the pressure of, you know, when you're 20 years old, you're like, I'm going to be a rock star, I'm going to be a millionaire, I'm going to do this, and that's all you ever thought about. Now that you're a little bit older in life, you kind of just don't want the stress, you don't want the drama, you want to do it to be fun. It's not about the money. If you're starting to do this about the money, then get out, because there's better things to do to make money. I mean, all of us have other jobs, or businesses, I should say, that we have that allow us to do this now. I've got a chain of restaurants. You know, Johnny's got a great business doing vacation homes, and Darren. We've all got our own other things that we do, but it put us in the position to be able to do this now, where we're not having to punch a 9 to 5 clock for somebody else. We're actually doing it for ourselves.
Right.
So it's the first time that we went into this where you didn't have a budget or a label telling you, you know, get in there. You only got 5 hours in the studio today. Take the drums, 2 tracks and you're done. Or, there was I can sit there and I could have did the drums for 2 days or 5 days or 30 days if I wanted to, because nobody was telling us what to do. We financed it all ourselves, and you didn't have to rush, and it was fun. And if Darren wanted to do another take on something, he would just do it. We wouldn't sit there and worry about the money or worry about, getting it done in a certain time. We had no plan. It was like, when we get it done, we get it done. When we get it to radio, we get it to radio. And our whole focus was to write songs that will be on the radio and let radio dictate whether this band was going to be anything. And we weren't going to, go out first and try and build a fan base, because obviously you couldn't with COVID.
Right.
But, I mean, it fell right into our plan that we were going to record songs, go right to radio. If it bombs, then guess what? We're done. No harm, no foul. Everybody goes back to what they were doing before. But then if it hits, then it's kind of that oh my God moment, and it did. And we didn't have social media. We didn't have a website. We didn't have Instagram. We didn't have Facebook. We didn't have Twitter. We didn't have any of that stuff. So for the last 6 months, all we've been doing is scrambling to build up our social media and our Spotify. Everything is so data-driven now with charts and We didn't have any of that. We were old school.
Yep.
So, now our Instagram, I think, is up to 35,000 fans. I think our Facebook might be 4,000 or 5,000. Our Spotify's 20,000 listeners. I mean, all that stuff is almost more important than the band these days, because labels will just judge you not based on your show and almost your song. And they will look at your social media presence and your numbers of what you're skewing or what you're streaming.
We're talking to Bill. He's obviously the drummer for the band Sons on Fire, their latest song, Just a Man, spinning on our airwaves. And you mentioned you're getting back on tour, going to be getting out with some shows with some different bands. And I had a chance to go to Rockfest in Cadott, Wisconsin. It was great to see 60,000 people screaming once again at bands up on stage. It's great to have that stuff back, isn't it? But I want to ask you this question, because you mentioned now you actually are an owner of a club. How are these clubs going to survive? Are they going to be able to make it? Because we've seen a lot of clubs, unfortunately, shut down. And I know even down in that Dallas, Texas area, you've had some clubs had to shut down.
Yep. The club at the hot spot that we have in Cedar Park, it's in between Dallas and Houston. It's ran by a bunch of buddies of mine. They put over $6 million into this venue during the pandemic. It's state-of-the-art. Every band that's come in here never wants to play in Austin. They want to come back to Cedar Park. We just had Winona here last Saturday.
Yep.
We're doing country, blues, rock. It's absolutely insane. I mean, there's great food. There's great drinks. There's the venue's second to none. The lights, the sound, just the grounds of the venue is something like you haven't seen. If you look at it, it's the hotspotvenue.com if people wanted to see pictures. But they've got the whole summer and going into the fall booked with big bands. I mean, they do some locals on a Monday and Tuesday, but mostly Fridays and Saturdays are nationals. Big country artists coming through there, rock guys coming through there. Like I said, Jackal just is coming, Sebastian Bach's coming, Blue Oyster Cult's coming. Right. And it's a venue that holds probably 25 to 3,000 people, and they have no problem filling that up.
The one question, I guess, is, and as of now, people probably have no issue with spending dollars on concerts because they haven't been there for 16, 18 months. But I guess the one question is going to be down the road when there's so many shows, people are eventually going to be like, I can't go to every show. Are we concerned about that a little bit or not?
I don't think we're concerned. Think about it. People have been cooped up for, like you said, 18 months. They've just been saving that money and storing that money and waiting to use it. But, yeah, there's going to be a point where you're going to have to pick and choose. Not everybody can go to every concert. I see Live Nation is starting to do $20 for some concerts. I mean, that's probably what you're going to see is, none of these venues want to gouge a customer. They want to get their venues back full. They don't want to make money be the object of why you can or can't go, so they want to make it affordable. They want to get it on the food and the drink side. Right. But, bands have to come out. It's a huge circle. I mean, the venues need to be open for the bands. The bands need to play to pay their bills and make money. So it's like, I don't think anybody's going to be doing a cash grab right now. I think you're going to look at a lot of low-dose shows. I mean, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to keep the tickets where we can pretty low so you don't make it a bit. I mean, we'd rather have more butts in the seats and, the venue make money on drinks or other things, but don't gouge them on the ticket price.
Absolutely. You got to agree with that. All right, let's get back to Sons on Fire and the future. What's going on now? I've obviously got the songs that you put out, but album, what are we looking at here?
We're looking, we've got something new coming out in January. We've probably got one more single that we'll put out to put us through the end of the year off the current record, and then we've already started recording new stuff that would come out in January. But our plan right now is just to go out and play probably the month of October. If something comes up after that or we get an offer to do something else, then we'll do it. But it seems like all our eyes and focus will be on a new record in January that we'll put out. We've already got kind of a deal that we were presented, and it'll be something new and bigger and better than we've done before.
I always like to ask a couple of fun questions, so let's do a tour here. If you had to build your tour, Sons on Fire, you want to bring out three other current bands. Okay, Seven Dust, we got that one. But who else would you like to go out with? I mean, you said you've gone out with everybody, but I mean, what would be a cool setup with Sons on Fire and Seven Dust?
You're probably going to laugh, but I would go out with Motley.
Motley.
For sure.
Okay.
Seven Dust and probably Disturbed, because they're friends of mine. We grew up together in Chicago, so that would be a cool thing. I mean, but or you know what? I maybe a 4-band tour with Architects.
Oh, you like that, huh?
Yeah, Architects that's really who I'm on right now. I mean, Seven Dust is my current. I mean, they've been, just because they're just stellar, but Architects for sure, and Motley has kind of always been my thing. Or
right.
I've kind of let kind of the older stuff. I mean, if you ask any of the other guys, they tell you Metallica or Lamb of God, or you know, there's a wide, diverse influence here. But for me, it would be, you know, Seven Dust for sure, and then Motley and Architects or Disturbed.
All right, let me pull out another question here. So if you had, anybody, any artist, it doesn't matter what genre, any genre, who would you like to cover your song "Just a Man"?
Frank Sinatra.
Old Blue Eyes, huh?
I don't know. That's a good question. I thought you were going to ask me what song we think we should cover. Nobody's ever asked who I think. You know what would be cool? If Pink maybe made a dance version.
There you go.
Or you know, Sinatra redoes it, or Pink maybe, or I don't know. I guess one of those, just to see how somebody else would spin it, I guess.
The reason I asked that question, you know, we used to be a 24, well, we weren't 24/7, but we had about 18 hours of hot AC on this station before we went to an all-rock station 24/7. And, you know, you always see, you know, people covering, like the rock bands covering pop songs, but you never see pop artists really covering rock songs. So, you know, it's one of those things. So Pink, I've asked this question to a few other bands before, and I've heard Pink, Katy Perry, some other ones that have come up in the past. So
just to see, just because it's a different. I mean, everybody normally when rock guys cover a song, it still sounds rock.
Yeah.
But to see somebody else, like, how would Sinatra do Just a Man, or how would Pink do Just a Man, or even Faded? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I did want to do like an industrial dance mix of one of these just to hear, and we've got a buddy of ours in Phoenix that does that type stuff, so we may give him something just to mess around with it.
Yeah.
But I think it'd be cool to hear a different version, or how somebody else views the song.
I would like to see more rock bands have an alternative version that's totally separate from what they normally sound like. That would be cool.
You know, what's even cool is when the guys are doing acoustic versions for when we go into radio, and it sounds so different.
Yeah.
With just the acoustic guitars and not even drums to it, just to hear how it sounds and the way they play differently, it sounds like a totally different song. And I can almost hear a country version of some of these.
I could see that. Yeah, we bring in a lot of actually artists that'll come in and do acoustic right in front of us here live, and it's totally. And then we'll see them play later on that night or the next day or down the road, and it's like, wow, it's totally different, which is cool.
Yeah. It's you know what, it's just. It's weird to see somebody else take your take on something.
Absolutely. Hey, I know we got to get going here, and obviously you're going to get busy here in the fall with touring and that. So if people are interested in finding out more about the band Sons on Fire, maybe to see you guys, location, hopefully maybe right here in central Minnesota in the fall too. Yep. How can they get a hold of you? What are the social media outlets, all that you're on?
It's it's Facebook, Sons on Fire Officials on Instagram. We just started Twitter like 2 weeks ago. And Facebook's probably the biggest. Facebook and Instagram is what we really are pushing right now. Twitter, just because everybody told us we had to have one. Darren wants to do a funny dance version with TikTok, and we have yet to do that, but we'll see if he comes up with something with that. But that's where you can find us. And then just our website, sonsonfire.com. That's getting rebuilt as well, but there's a link on there to email us. We'll also have different stations with direct request lines to be able to call or request us in different towns.
Right. Well, you're probably old like me, so Facebook's like for old people anyway. Now, if it was
exactly
like my daughters, they're all in the TikTok, and I don't even know how to work that, so it's like whatever.
Neither do I. Everyone's like, you guys got to get on all social media. I'm like, how many different things do we need to be on? I mean, really, if you did 2, maybe you'll get a lot more people. But if you start spreading it out over 100 different, who's got that kind of time in the day to do it?
Absolutely, you got to hire somebody full time to do that. Then.
Yeah, that's the next thing. They're like, well, we have a social media person we can bring on. I'm like, oh my God, now we're getting into that. Have somebody else posting for us. I'd rather do it ourselves and just do a few of them.
I hear you. Hey, let's get the backstory. We're going to play Just a Man here in just a moment. What's the story on this song?
Darren wrote the lyrics just about a girl and being truthful and honest, and if it ain't working, get rid of them and just stay your ground, and just everyday life stories.
Awesome. Hey, great to get to know you a little bit more, and hopefully we'll get a chance to see you up here in September.
I think we're going to be there, and I guess Jared just came back with Saving Abel, so you'll have the original.
Yeah, that's right. Well. Absolutely, yeah. We kind of knew that a while back ago. We were trying to keep that quiet, but eventually that kind of got out. So that just happens.
Yeah, it's all over social media now. It seems like everybody likes him. He's a cool guy.
Yeah, absolutely. Bill, lots of fun chatting with you. We'll get a chance to see you soon. Okay, take care.
Yep, you got it. Thanks, buddy.
Once again, that's Bill. He's the drummer for the band Sons on Fire. Their latest song is Just a Man. You're hearing it right now. It's on The Dark. It's on 94 Rocks.